Willie D live.
What's up, family? There are no tickets, no tour dates, no official announcements that says Nolan Wells friends coming to a city near you. However, you could have fooled me. Could have damn sure fooled me because the way these dudes are moving, you would think they were on a speaking tour. Interview after interview after interview after interview after interview. Platform after platform after platform after platform. You get it? More explanations, more details, more opportunities to convince the public that everybody has the strong story wrong. I say strong story because they're sticking to it, fam. They are sticking to it. At this point, I'm waiting on the t-shirts to get printed. Yeah, and the caps. And I'll tell you something else. I'm going to say something that's probably going to run some people hot, but I take my chances. I think they're talking way too much. I think they're talking way too much. Now, I know what you're thinking. Let them talk, Will. Let them talk. No, I can't let them do this, man. These are innocent boys. These are innocent, fine, upstanding young men. They cannot go down for this murder. They cannot go down. I mean, for the drowning. They can't go down because they didn't do it. Even though they were on the boat, they were the last one to see them alive. As we know, as much as we know, because we can't take their word that just somebody else just was with them, because we don't know who that somebody else is, and they don't know who that somebody else is. You know, all we know, somebody could have just, made something up like that. We don't really know what the truth is, right? But I don't think it's wise for me to participate in these type of shenanigans, accusing these dudes of anything. I just don't think it's right. It don't sit well with my conscience. On the other hand, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. A young man went out with his friends and never came home alive. Questions are still surrounding the death of Nolan Wells. What happened during his final hours? And instead of the noise dying down, we're getting more public statements from the people who were there. If the objective is to eliminate suspicion, I'm not convinced the story or the strategy is working. I think it's doing the opposite. I think the absolute opposite is happening. Nobody announced or speaking to it, but I'm describing how it looks. It looks like they're on a tour. Every time you pop up, they boom. It's almost like they're doing some Beyonce numbers, just popping up out of nowhere with a tour. No announcement. Because when the same people connected to a controversial case start appearing across different platforms explaining themselves, eventually, it stops feeling like somebody answering questions and starts feeling like a campaign. And that's what bothers me. It don't feel legit. It does not feel like the real thing. It doesn't feel authentic. It feels staged. Why does the story have to be a campaign? If the evidence supports what happened, let the evidence support it. Phone records don't need media training. GPS information does not need a podcast. Photographs don't need talking points. Forensic evidence don't need a good PR team. But people do. Yeah, that's right. I said it. People do. And that's why every new appearance is going to make people wonder, why are they working so hard to convince us? Maybe they genuinely believe they're correcting misinformation. Fair enough. On the flip side of that coin is there's a difference between correcting something that's false and repeatedly selling your version of events. Right now, they're walking dangerously close to that line. Some might say they crossed it a few times. I know Warren can't keep that trap shut for nothing. I don't know if he got sisters and brothers. I think he do. I bet he was telling. That boy can't hold water. Here's why I think this becomes a terrible strategy. Every time you speak publicly, you increase another statement. You increase your chances of getting caught up in another statement. Another interview, another explanation, another timeline, another description of Nolan, another description of what happened, another opportunity for somebody to pick that statement apart, another opportunity for somebody, investigators specifically, to compare stories. Yeah, and that's exactly what people are doing. Not just the investigators, but people, the internet sleuths. They're clipping these interviews. They're comparing statements. They're comparing timelines. They're asking why certain details are being emphasized now. And here's the problem. You don't get unlimited chances to tell the same story differently without people noticing. Yeah, man, we are noticing. We see everything. Yeah, yeah. How y'all thought y'all was just gonna fool everybody? I mean, I got it. I got it. It's a few people you can get. But how do you think you're gonna fool everybody? How? See, the differences don't automatically mean somebody is lying. Memory is imperfect. People remember traumatic events differently. But when somebody is dead, inconsistencies matter. When somebody is dead, the more opportunities you create for inconsistencies, the more you're looked at. So whoever thinks constant public appearances are helping these guys may want to reconsider the strategy because silence doesn't create new contradictions. Yeah, they should have kept quiet. But look, I'm glad they didn't. I'm just saying I'm glad they didn't. But I gotta call a strike. I gotta look at both sides, fam. I gotta call a strike, and a ball. And it ain't like I'm telling on somebody. I'm not like telling them what to do because they're not gonna listen to me, That they won't listen to me. They think they know everything. They think they're smarter than everybody else. You dig what I'm saying? They think they're smarter than everybody else. And so this brings me to the biggest question. What exactly are they trying to accomplish? Are they trying to clear their names? Are they, trying to repair their reputations? Are they trying to convince us that they're really Nolan's supporters? Or are they trying to establish their version of the story so aggressively that it becomes the version everybody remembers? Which is it? I don't think the strategy is working. I think, especially Warren is looking really, really bad. And when you watch those dudes in that second interview with Tatum. They all had their hands like this. They had their hands down, like they were holding, you know, some bags of, you know, potato chips or something. And every time one spoke, they was looking at him like trying to make sure he was gonna say the right thing, like make sure he didn't say something different from what they talked about, what was gonna be said. I'm asking the same question. Can that detail be independently verified? Yeah, because if it can't, Nolan isn't here to challenge it. The internet is conducting depositions. People are recording everything. They are not letting one rock go unturned. They are putting interviews side by side and they're comparing. I'm talking to content creators every day and we're sharing notes. We're going back and forth with each other. Like, boom, what you hear? Boom, I got this. Boom, I talked to such, such, such. Boom, I just found out this. Say, man, the content creators are doing way more work than the investigators are doing. You know why? Because investigators ain't investigating nothing. If they were, they would be given some types of updates, some type of updates. If they were, they wouldn't be so silent. If they were, the family wouldn't be so skeptical of the investigation. Yeah. So the content creators, the journalists, the family, everybody checking times, looking at photographs, studying video, analyzing who said what and when they said it. So every appearance gives thousands of people another piece of material to examine. Somebody says one thing today, 3 weeks from now, somebody notices that it does not line up with the narrative that they delivered. It does not line up with the narrative they supported. So what's next? I think here's what they're going to do. I think they've burnt Tatum enough and they're reading the headlines. They know people are not trusting Tatum. Nobody trusts Tatum. This didn't go as well as they thought it would go because it's obvious biased reporting, right? See, even though I believe that they had something to do with Nolan's death, I would have still interviewed from an objective standpoint. And this is what some people who don't do journalism, who don't do reporting, can't get. They be like, man, why'd you have such a platform, man? He don't know what he's talking about, man. That guy's trash and da da da. You shouldn't platform him and that. Family. Actually, platforming people who you have a disagreement with, who you can showing people that you can sit down and be objective, actually makes people trust you even more because you're not pandering to the base. Tatum panders to the base, so he don't give a damn. He just straight one side. He don't care what happened. It doesn't matter. I'm for my people. I'm for the people, first and foremost. But I'm going to call a strike and a ball. And sometimes I'm going to piss y'all off because I'm going to call it like I see it. And I'm going to talk to people who I have different viewpoints than. I spoke to a January 6th rioter on my platform. You know, I've had MAGA members on my platform because I want to. If I think I can talk to somebody and get an understanding, I will. But if it's just talking to be talking, I'm not interested in that because I already know I'm talking to a dummy. I'm talking to an ignorant person who is not interested in trying to get an understanding or even looking at things a different way. So to me, that's just entertainment. That's just so-called debating for somebody for entertainment purposes, uh, debating someone for entertainment purposes, and I'm not interested in that. So if I can sit down with somebody on the opposite side and have a discussion, even if we disagree, even if I vehemently disagree with that person, I do it because I'm trying to get an understanding. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.